And good evening. Please be aware that the first hour and a half of this meeting will be recorded so that we can put it onto our website, our podcast, and our YouTube channel. We record in audio only. Feel free to use the podcast on our website along with your big book as a resource if you missed the study portion of the meeting. And the study portion is also listed on the website so that you can follow along. Tonight we will start a new chapter. We will screen share and read the blue page, which you don't have. It comes in our study, but it gives us some history on the chapter. And then the study portion will begin on page 151 at the beginning of A Vision for You, and it will end on page 153 where it says Havens for those who must find a way out. And do we have any announcements?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead with the one.
Oh, you go first.
Hi, family. My name's Jamie. I am a very grateful recovered alcoholic. As DCM of District 40, alls I know is that today or yesterday, sometime over the weekend, one of the trustees at General Services has resigned. Don't know the details of that yet, and I would say until I get information from our delegate, it would be inappropriate to speculate or get caught up in the rumor mill that you might have, that you might hear in other groups or from other sources. I would heed caution of not suffering from contempt prior to investigation. More will be revealed in time, and I would not want to see anyone die of untreated alcoholism because of speculation and rumors. That's the only announcement I have. Thank you.
And the announcement I have is we have a celebration tonight. It is our group's 5-year Zoom anniversary.
Did you talk to Shayna about that?
Yeah.
You did?
Aaron has it. Aaron just held it up in the screen.
Oh, okay, good. Then I will shut up. Does this mean we get a 5-year trip?
No, but we get to sing.
There we go. Well, everybody unmute and sing.
Happy birthday
to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, dear pickle people. Happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday to us.
Hope you don't get some fire on there.
Blow it out.
Hey guys, the last 5 years would not have been possible without all of you. Thank you so much for making this group what it is, and thank you so much for being my family. I love all of you dearly, and you have caused me to grow in ways that I never thought possible.
And
Ditto all the way. Thank you, Jamie and Trish, for all the service. Putting
Yeah.
this stuff together.
I just came along for the
And all
ride.
of you.
You
Thank all of
got
you
dragged
for keeping
along,
me
Trish.
sober.
Yeah, there is that. I got pushed down the hill in the wheelchair.
That's right. Well, without straps or bumper cushions. So, okay, moving on. Moving on. Everybody, please remute yourself so I don't have to do it. Good evening, family. And again, welcome. My name is Jamie. I'm a very grateful recovered alcoholic. And welcome to the Lewisburg Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. Let's get focused by having a 3-minute moment of meditation followed by our family's foglight prayer.
And I'm a recovered alcoholic. My name is Trish. Thanks for joining us tonight. And as often as you did for the last 5 years. We're going to start the meditation in a minute, so please take a moment to get situated.
Please be aware of background noises when you are unmuted and sharing is not to distract others or yourself. We suggest we all observe proper Zoom etiquette. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it here. A friendly reminder, absence of profanity offends no one. Please keep yourself muted during someone else's share, and we will call on you in the order that hands are raised.
From the foreword to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are many thousands of men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book and of this group.
For the meditation, some suggestions are: focus on your breath and posture, breathe in God, and breathe out self.
Take this time to reconnect with God. Let the craziness of the day drift away and ask God to help you focus on the study.
There you go, and let's bring the monks in to celebrate with us, because they have been with us the entire 5 years. So enjoy your time with God, folks. And on your screen in front of you is our family's fog light prayer, so if you'd like to join us in it, please do. God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those that are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen.
And let's have our secretary's report. Come on in, Susan.
Hello, my name is Susan. I'm the pickle harvester, and I am your recovered alcoholic secretary. I've asked Erin to read the recovered statement. We read this notice to explain why many people in this group identify as recovered rather than recovering, and what it exactly means to be a recovered alcoholic. Take it away, Erin.
Thank you. I'm Aaron. I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. Recovered. We are not cured of alcoholism. Recovered, but not cured. That presents a conflict with some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. No, we are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime. But we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind, rather than in his body. Page 23. We are now sane where alcohol is concerned. Consequently, we have
We're done.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for joining us tonight. We meet every Tuesday starting at 5:30 p.m. Central Time with the Gerbil Fellowship Cage, where we chatter for an hour before the start of the meeting. Feel free to bring side dishes to share with the buzzards. Our Bigfoot study starts promptly at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, and we ask that you be courteous and ready to begin at the sound of the foghorn. We take our big book seriously. Because of this, chat will be disabled during the study. In the 1940s, when the only elements to sobriety were God, a big book, and one recovered alcoholic working with an untreated alcoholic, the success rate was as follows. From the forward to the second edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, page XX, of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sobered up after some relapsed, and the remainder, those who stayed on with AA, showed improvement. Can we have a show of hands of people joining us for the first time? No, I can't see them on my phone. Is there any?
We've
got one.
two, I think. Welcome, Elea. And we also have Jay joining us. Welcome. Glad to have you.
All right, then the recovered alcoholics. All right, guys, these are your potential sponsors. Is anyone celebrating a milestone this week? Okay, if you should require a big book of your own, we have large print editions available that can be sent to you by buzzard mail. Delivery time, questionable. Please remember to practice our seventh tradition by donating to the group address, Venmo, or PayPal posted in chat and on the screen. Our suggestion to purchase a big book and take an untreated alcoholic through the program of recovery. Please visit our website. Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you, Susan and Aaron, for your service tonight, and welcome to all of those of you who are joining us for the first time. And we hope you will find something in this room that you like and continue to join us. From Chapter 2, there is a solution. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we've discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism.
This is an open meeting, and as such, all who have an interest in alcoholism and our program of recovery are welcome. Because this is an open meeting, you need not identify yourself nor your reason for being here if you do not wish to do so. Your anonymity will be protected. We ask that you protect ours.
While this is an open meeting, membership in this group is limited to those who wish to recover from alcoholism and have a desire to stop drinking for good and all. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a potential sponsor of a new member and should clearly recognize the obligations and duties of such a responsibility.
Before we begin our study of the Big Book, last week we reviewed Tradition 10. Tonight, let's take a quick look at Tradition 11. Please refer to page 562 of Alcoholics Anonymous. And come on in, Lisa, our seashell pickle.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa, I'm an alcoholic, and I'm your traditional list for the week. The short forms, Tradition 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. In the long form, our relations with the general public should be characterized by personal anonymity. Gets me every time. We think AA ought to avoid sensational advertising. Our names and pictures as AA members ought not to be broadcast, filmed, or publicly printed. Our public relations should be guided by the principle of attraction rather than promotion. There is never a need to praise ourselves. We feel it better to let our friends recommend us. And I was reading something earlier that caught my eye, and I kind of related to, in the sense that I was always trying to do it on my own, and I thought I was doing great. One meeting here, a couple meetings there, and just not drinking. But anyway, I hope you like it. It's called self-promotion, not attraction. On the last day of each month, our Alcoholics Anonymous meeting covers one of the traditions. Frequently, the tradition 11 meeting falls on Thanksgiving, and we conveniently change it into a gratitude meeting. After all, how does the question of breaking one's anonymity in public affect most of us non-celebrities? That's the terrain of rock stars and golfers who blab in public about how they went to rehab, joined the program, and are now sober. Then we read a news story about the car they drove into a telephone pole when they returned to some exclusive recovery center in the Bahamas. During my first field tour of duty at AA in 1980, I learned just how easy it is for a regular civilian to break Tradition 11 and to do real damage to our treasured fellowship. My lovely young wife had given up on me after a year of marriage. The husband-to-be she had met a year and a half earlier didn't drink, although he smoked some dope. He certainly wasn't the reeling, retching, obnoxious animal she lived with now. Either the booze goes or I go, she said. It was a mandate. I decided to give AA a try. After attending meetings for about a month, I had things pretty well figured out. I attended one meeting a week and showed up late. That way I never had to say, hi, I'm Michael and I'm an alcoholic. I never shared and left early to avoid any chit-chat with the riffraff who frequent the meetings. However, I decided I would read the literature, study real hard, and learn how not to drink. If I did my assignments, I would pass the course with flying colors. Months passed and things got better. Married life improved and things at work took a decided upswing. When my co-workers asked what the change was due to, I said with pride that I was in AA, spouting chapter and verse. I impressed my colleagues. I came to be known as Mr. AA and did a good job of lording my superior knowledge over the others. I told my former drinking buddies that they could probably use some of what I had. After all, look at how my life had turned around. A few of them seriously considered it. But working the steps, getting a sponsor, practicing real honesty, acceptance, and faith in a higher power just wasn't part of my program. I didn't need that stuff. I could do it my way. We all know what happened. First, I convinced my wife that I could drink wine on the weekends because she came from a good alcoholic family. That made sense to her. When that didn't get too far out of control, we agreed I could drink a little wine during the week, then some hard stuff on the weekends. And within a few months, I was back to a quart of vodka a day. My co-workers noticed it wasn't just that I was drinking again. I showed up for work late, had the shakes, memory loss, and errated mood swings, and was frequently ill. I made a foolish spectacle of myself, and they let me know it. Well, Mr. AA, what happened to you, they asked. I thought you AAs weren't allowed to drink. I guess that AA program isn't so good after all. That is how I broke Tradition 11. I misinformed many people about AA and how it really works. My poor performance may have provided a great excuse to any number of people who could have benefited from our program. Although I did great disservice to the fellowship, I learned my lesson. In 1990, I crawled back into the rooms. I was in a lot more pain than I had been a decade earlier. This time around, I arrived on time, spoke up, got a sponsor, participated and took suggestions. Today I keep my mouth shut unless I have an opportunity to help another alcoholic present itself. Because the program saved my life, I treasure all it has to offer. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Wonderful. Job well done. And now it's time for our weekly segment of That Ain't in the Book. We hear a lot of stuff said in meetings that can't be reconciled with the program as described in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. One of those things that we often hear is that there are no musts in the program. So Nicole is going to come in and tell us what the book actually has to say about that on page 85 in the second paragraph. Welcome, Nicole.
Hi, thank you, Nicole, Alcoholic Addict. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all of our activities.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks, Nicole.
As we study, please make use of the pens, highlighters, and rulers so that you can share this experience with another alcoholic.
In order for us to stay focused as we study the Big Book, we use the Big Book Study Guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group.
And usually we have a recap reader reading last week's and then the study portion, but tonight we're starting a new chapter. So tonight we will screen share and read the blue page, which comes out of our study guide and gives us some history on the chapter. And after that, our study portion will be read by Donald, or aka Gandalf the Red Pickle. And after those pages are read, we will ask the questions from the imaginary podium, starting where Gandalf started reading, on page 151, and ending on page 153. And the answers will be one sentence unless otherwise specified, and multi-part questions are simply a one-sentence answer split up by commas, semicolons, hyphens, and other fun bits of punctuation.
Basically, in English, what that means is we are going to read the material once through and then dissect the information a second time through the question and answer format. Notice how the language in the question gives us a new light in which to consider the study material.
This is important because hearing the question and rereading the content offers a definite way of comprehending the material covered. After we've completed the study, we open up for comments, questions, and observations based on what was just read. If you have spiritual experiences with this information, feel free to share. And please keep your share on topic and under 5 minutes. At that 5-minute mark, you may hear a timer beep to let you know that your time is finished and to gently remind you to please wrap up your comments.
However, Big Book study is not therapy. Should you begin sharing on topics which are more appropriately discussed in a different setting, for example with a sponsor, please do not be offended when we cut that conversation short and send the buzzards nipping at your heels. For that purpose, we have fellowship meetings before and after our study time.
You can never go wrong by commenting on the pages studied, which brings us to the words of one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. Sobriety, freedom from alcohol, through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps, is the sole purpose of any Alcoholics Anonymous group.
And how did we arrive at this point? Well, isn't it a miracle that we're sitting here tonight celebrating our 5-year anniversary as a Zoom group? And we've been a group just a little bit longer than that. The meeting originally started here in my house on January 7th, 2020. And with 12 other alcoholics, and COVID hit, we know what happened there, and they kind of went their separate ways. But we continued on doing it in this format. Everything that we do with this question and answer format is exactly the way we have done it for the last 5 years. From the title page, where our first promise is found, the story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. And we have done the preface, the forewords, absolutely every chapter with this question and answer format. We've made some changes along the way also. In the early on in the book, as we read, there's an asterisk on a few of the pages, and we're directed to go to the spiritual experience. So we do that, and we have questions for that as well, and the answers come directly out of the spiritual experience. This is a 94-week Big Book study from beginning to end. Yes, I see the shock on people's faces. So tonight we are in week 83 of our third season in our fifth year. So it's about a year and a half to go through the book completely the way that we do it, which is just absolutely amazing. We are going into our last chapter tonight, A Vision for You, our 11th chapter. And when we are done with it, we will spend probably about 5 or 6 weeks on Dr. Bob's Nightmare doing the same thing. We'll take 2 weeks and do the 12 traditions through the question format as well. And then for week 94, the final week, we will go to this spiritual experience for one final time and do that meeting as a standalone meeting. And why do we feel that's important? Because it's important to recognize whether or not we are having a spiritual experience or spiritual awakening. And then when we are done, in about 9 weeks from now, the buzzards will circle us back around, and we will start the book right at the beginning again and start moving towards year number 6 and season 4. Since we have a few new folks in here as well, we also podcast this meeting in audio only, so you can listen to it when you're driving to work or just need to sit and use it as a study resource while you're studying your book at home or working with a sponsee. It works very well. We also have it on our YouTube channel as well. So we have a couple of different ways to do that, and one of them is through our website. And I will shut up now because I have really spoke about it all way too long. So we're glad you're here.
Thank you, Jamie. And before we start, we will need 5 or 6 virtual hands raised if you would like to be one of our answer readers. Please be aware that the first hour and a half of this meeting will be recorded in audio only, so that we can put it on our website and our YouTube channel. So, Jamie, would you like to come in and do some more talking and read our blue page for us?
Yeah, I can do that because it's all part of our literature, and there's nothing more that I love than our literature. So I'm going to share the blue page with you folks because it's something that you won't find in your big books. But it does come from the study guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff. So week 83, chapter 11, A Vision for You. And this is an introduction to the chapter. It's going to tell us a little bit about what it does. Pages 151 through 164, Chapter 11, A Vision for You, is a very powerful piece of literature. It provides guidance for the future of Alcoholics Anonymous in a very practical, I'm screen sharing it, never mind. In a very practical manner. As in the preceding sections of the book, it is based on the experience and knowledge of the founders of our fellowship, which came our program of recovery. As the result and applying the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous to our lives, we have been freed from a seemingly hopeless condition of mind and body. This is the promise of the program, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. To ensure our sobriety, we found it necessary to seek out other alcoholics who were suffering as we had, as Bill did in May 1935 when he was led to Dr. Bob S. We let them know how well we understood the misery they were experiencing. We let them see the demonstration of the higher power we found through our program, and thereby created a curiosity in them to wonder what happened to us. When they asked, we would tell them our story, what we were like, what happened, and what we are like now. If they then decided they wanted what we had and made sure, and we made sure they had a copy of this book and set them on the path to recovery. At the same time, we made an effort to get the family and to try our way of living. After a while, we had a number of sober alcoholics and realized we needed to formalize our fellowship. So we initiated the process of founding a group to bring the program of Alcoholics Anonymous into the part of the world that we occupy. This chapter describes that process. Once this has been done, you will have made a significant contribution to your community. It might be an amend for harm made a significant made and done. It will certainly be appreciated by many innocent people who have suffered because of our disease, even though they may never have been aware of the source. Thank you. Boy, not reading very well tonight.
Thank you, Jamie. And for our answer readers, please speak clearly into your microphones. We, or I, will ask the questions from our script that was written by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Cliff. And the answers to the questions will be sentence by sentence, coming directly out of the portion that Gandalf read in the beginning of the meeting, or a little earlier. Beginning with the first sentence he read on page 151 and ending on page 153. And just a friendly reminder, if those answering questions lose their place, please allow me to redirect them to the correct sentence so there's not so many of us chattering on top of each other that nobody can hear. So...
Trish, just one thing, Gandalf hasn't read it yet. You're thinking ahead, though.
Is that me?
Yep.
that is...
Okay. I didn't know if you were still talking or, yeah, stuff. Good evening, everyone. My name is Donald, and I am a very grateful, recovered, but not cured Gandalf the Red Pickle. Hope you guys like my new background here and stuff. Thought it might be a little fitting and stuff. So, all right, this is the first portion of Chapter 11 of Vision for You. For most normal folks, drinking means conviviality, companionship, and colorful imagination. It means release from care, boredom, and worry. It is joyous intimacy with friends and a feeling that life is good. But not so with us in those last days of heavy drinking. The old pleasures were gone. They were but memories. Never could we recapture the great moments of the past. There was an insistent yearning to enjoy life as we once did, and a heartbreaking obsession that some miracle of control would enable us to do it. There was always one more attempt and one more failure. The less people tolerated us, the more we withdrew from society, from life itself. As we became subjects of King Alcohol, shivering denizens of his mad realm, the chilling vapor that is loneliness settled down. It thickened, even becoming blacker. Some of us sought out sordid places, hoping to find understanding, compassion, and approval. Momentarily we did, then would come oblivion and the awful awakening to face the hideous four horsemen: terror, bewilderment, frustration, and despair. Unhappy drinkers who read this page will understand. Now and then, a serious drinker, being dry at the moment, says, "I don't miss it at all. Feel better, work better, having a better time." As ex-problem drinkers, smile at such a sally. We know our friend is like a boy whistling in the dark to keep up his spirits. He fools himself. Inwardly, he would give anything to take half a dozen drinks and get away from them. He will presently try the old game again, for he isn't happy about his sobriety. He cannot picture life without alcohol. Someday he will be unable to imagine life either with alcohol or without it. Then he will know loneliness such as few do. He will be at the jumping off place. He will wish for the end. We have shown how we got out from under. You say, yes, I'm willing, but am I to be consigned to a life where I shall be stupid, boring, and glum, like some righteous people I see? I know I must get along without liquor, but how can I? Have you a sufficient substitute? Yes, there is a substitute, and it is vastly more than that. It is a fellowship in Alcoholics Anonymous. There you will find release from care, boredom, and worry. Your imagination will be fired. Life will mean something at last. The most satisfactory years of your existence lie ahead. Thus we find the fellowship, and so will you. How is it to come about, you ask? Where am I to find these people? You are going to meet these new friends in your own community. Near you, alcoholics are dying helplessly like people in a sinking ship. If you live in a large place, there are hundreds. High, low, rich, and poor. These are future fellows of Alcoholics Anonymous. Among them you will make lifelong friends. You will be bound to them with new and wonderful ties. You will escape disaster together, and you will commence shoulder to shoulder your common journey. Then you will know what it means to give of yourself to others, that others may survive and rediscover life. You will learn the full meaning of love thy neighbor as thyself. It may seem incredible that these men are to become happy, respected, and useful once more. How can they rise out of such misery, bad repute, and hopelessness? The practical answer is that since these things have happened among us, they can happen with you. Should you wish them above all else and be willing to use or make use of your experience, we are sure they will come. The age of miracles is still with us. Our own recovery proves that. Our hope is that when this tip of a book is launched on the world tide of alcoholism, defeated drinkers will seize upon it to follow its suggestions. Many, we are sure, will rise to their feet and march on. They will approach still other sick ones, and fellowships of Alcoholics Anonymous may spring up in each city and hamlet, havens for those who must find a way out. Excuse me.
Thank you, Donald.
Let me be in service.
And I'm not going to reread the part that I read before we did that, but you guys know the drill. Readers, please go ahead and unmute. And our batting order tonight will be Kenny, Aaron, Nancy, Art, William, and Marilyn. So Kenny, starting off with you, what is common for most folks?
For most normal folks, drinking means conviviality, companionship, and colorful imagination.
Sure does. And Aaron, it is released from what?
It means release from care, boredom, and worry.
Thank you. And Nancy, what else is it for most people?
It is joyous intimacy with friends and a feeling that life is good.
Absolutely. And Art, how about us?
But not so with us in those last days of heavy drinking.
And William, what is gone?
The old pleasure was gone.
They are. And Marilyn, what are the good old days?
They were but memories.
Thank you. Kenny, back to you. When will we be able to recapture those moments?
Never could we recapture the great moments of the past.
You. And Aaron, a two-part question. A, what did we yearn for? And B, with what were we obsessed?
There was an insistent yearning to enjoy life as we once did, and a heartbreaking obsession that some new miracle of control would enable us to do.
Thank you. And Nancy, what was the truth?
There was always one more attempt and one more failure.
Thank you. Art, as people became less tolerant of us, what did we do?
The less people tolerated us, the more we withdrew from society, from life itself.
Sure did. And William, as we became citizens of King Alcohol, shivering inhabitants of his mad world, what did we experience?
As we became subject of King Alcohol, shivering business of this mad rim, the chilling vapor that is loneliness settled down.
I apologize. I think I skipped you first round. So let me give you this next question too to catch up. It did what and became what?
Wait a second, Trish. There's a comment in there.
Oh, yes, there is. Sorry.
I'll be coming in with a few comments, folks. And this is a comment. It is a definition. Denizens means inhabitants or residents.
Thank you, Jamie. And William, it did what and became what?
It thickened, ever becoming blacker.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Marilyn, a two-part question. A, what did some of us seek? And what were we hoping to find?
Some of us sought out Some of us sought out sordid places, hoping to find an understanding, companionship, and approval.
Thank you. And Kenny, you get a three-part question. A, what success did we have? B, this would be followed by what? And C, what did we face?
Momentarily we did, then we would become, then would come oblivion, and the awful awakening to face the hideous four horsemen: terror, bewilderment, frustration, despair, unhappiness.
That's it.
Despair.
Aaron, who will have no trouble understanding what we have just covered?
Unhappy drinkers who read this page will understand.
Absolutely. And Nancy, once in a while, what may a dried out, serious drinker say? 4 sentences, please.
Now and then, a serious drinker, being dry at the moment, says, I don't miss it at all. Feel better. Work better. Having a better time.
Thank you. And Art, as ex-problem drinkers, how do we react to such declarations?
As ex-problem drinkers, we smile at such a silly sally. Okay.
And I have a definition of Sally. Here, Sally means a quick-witted response from a defensive position.
Thank you.
What?
And William, he is like who?
We know our friend is like our boy, whistling in the dark to keep up his spirits.
Thank you. And Marilyn, what is he doing to himself?
He fools himself.
Or he tries to. And Kenny, what is it he really wants to do?
Inwardly, he would give anything to take a half dozen drinks and get away with them.
So true. And Aaron, a two-part question. A, soon what will he do? And B, why?
He will presently try the old game again, for he isn't happy about his sobriety.
And I have a comment here. Could this be a slip or heading towards one? The mental obsession.
And Nancy, what can he not see?
He cannot picture life without alcohol.
Thank you. And Art, someday what will he be unable to imagine?
Someday he will be unable to imagine life either with alcohol or without it.
Thank you. And William, what will he then come to know as few people can?
Then he will know loneliness, such as few people do. He will be at the jumping off place.
And Marilyn, what will he be?
He will wish for the end.
Oh, he will be at.
Okay, he will be at the jumping off place.
Thank you. And Kenny, for what will he wish?
He will wish for their end.
Thank you.
And another comment. Death, insanity, institutions, or recovery.
Thank you. And Aaron, what have we shown?
We have shown how we got out from under.
Yes, we did. And Nancy, you might say what? And read the rest of the paragraph, please.
You might say, yes, I'm willing, but am I to do consigned to the life where I shall be stupid, bullying, and glum, like some righteous people I see? I know I must get along without liquor, but how can I? Have you a sufficient substitute?
Thank you. And Art, what do we have?
Yes, there is a substitute, and it is vastly more than that.
Thank you. William, what is it called?
There's a fellowship at Alcoholics Anonymous.
Thank you. And Marilyn, what will you find there?
Life will mean something at last.
True before that, there you will find.
There you will find release from boredom and worry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Kenny, how will it affect your imagination?
Start me off, please.
Your imagination will. Towards the bottom of 152. Let me move on to Nancy, and I'll catch you on the next
Thank you.
or to Aaron. Aaron, how will it affect your imagination?
Your imagination will be fired.
Thank you. And Nancy, how will you feel about being alive?
Life will mean something at last.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
What will your future years promise? What are your future years promised to be?
Most satisfactory years of your existence lie ahead.
Thank you. And William, where will we find this?
Thus we find the fellowship, and so will you.
Yes, thank you. And Marilyn, what questions do you have? 2 sentences.
How is it that to overcome about, you ask, where am I to find these people?
Thank you. And Kenny, where do we say you will find them?
You're going to meet these new friends in your own community.
Thank you. And Aaron, who will you find near you?
Near you, alcoholics are dying helplessly like people in a sinking ship.
Thank you. And Nancy, how many if you live in a large city?
If you live in a large place, there are hundreds.
You. And Art, where will they come from?
High and low, rich and poor. These are the future fellows of Alcoholics Anonymous.
So true. And William, what will they become to you?
Among them, you will make lifelong friends.
Absolutely. And Marilyn, a three-part question. A, how will you be bound to them? B, why will that be so? And C, and together you will begin what?
You will be bound to them with new and wonderful ties, for you will escape disaster together, and you will commence shoulder to shoulder your common journey.
How much? And Kenny, you will then know what?
Then you will know what it means to give of yourself to others, that others may survive and rediscover life.
Thank you so much. And Aaron, you will then learn the full meaning of what?
You will learn the full meaning of love thy neighbor as thyself.
And I have a comment here. Is this the idea of sponsorship? One alcoholic working with another. Also, fellowship and building a support network.
Nancy, what may seem incredible?
It may seem incredible that these men are to become happy, respected, and useful once more.
And Art, what question will arise?
How can they rise out of such misery, bad repute, and hopelessness?
And another comment, or definition rather, repute here means reputation, fame, name, and notoriety.
Thank you. William, what is the practical answer?
The practical answer is that since these things have happened among us, they can happen with you.
Thank you. And Marilyn, a three-part question. A, how should you wish for them? B, what should you be willing to do? And C, of what are we certain?
Should you wish them above all else and be willing to make use of our experience, we are sure they will come.
Thank you. And Kenny, back to you. What still exhibits itself among us?
The age of miracles is still with us.
Yes, it is. And Aaron, what proof is there of that statement?
Our own recovery proves that.
Or does. And Nancy, what is our hope?
Our hope is that when this chip of a book is launched on the world tide of alcoholism, defeated drinkers will seize upon it to follow its suggestions.
Thank you. And Art, of what are we sure?
Many, we are sure, will rise to their feet and march on.
Thank you. And William, our final question, and it's a two-part question. A, they will then do what? And B, what will be the result of these actions?
They will approach still other sick ones and fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. They spring up in each city and hamlet haven for those who must find a way out.
Thank you. And thank you everyone who was an answer reader.
Thank you.
Put your hands down and remute. And if you have experience with the portion of the book that we just read, please feel free to share. And again, please be mindful of your time so that others who may have their hands raised, because others who may have their hands raised are also waiting to share. And a friendly reminder that the absence of profanity offends no one. So we're now open for comment, questions, observations, and spiritual experiences based on what was just read. Nancy, is your hand still up, or are you coming in with a question or a comment? Okay, who wants to kick off our sharing then? Nancy?
I start since my name was, I didn't put it down fast enough. Nancy Alcoholic, a vision for you. Because I love this chapter, because it tells me how everything started and we're getting to the finish line. And because when I was out there, I gave up everything, including my kids, just so I can drink. And I have to answer to anybody. And that was the saddest place I can be. It's like I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror because of all the guilt and the shame and the Lord. I didn't. All my real friends, they left me because I wasn't being a friend to them. I would lie, I would cheat, I would steal from them. And who wants a friend like that? And it becomes so lonely. And having that alcohol is the only solution, but it wasn't doing anything for me anymore. It wasn't doing anything for me. And so I had to. I am grateful that my God, helped me to get into the program because I wasn't, even though when I said I'm going to treatment, I wasn't ready to get sober. I had a chance to go out. I mean, somebody dropped me off where I was supposed to go in. Instead of going in, I went to the, to the corner and went to the gas station and used the telephone. And some guy came up to me and said, "Hey, you want to get high?" My answer is yes. So we drove around the neighborhood, smoking and drinking. But then, my God, really say, "Nancy, you've had enough," because even though I was doing that, I told the guy, I had to go back there because I'm going to get sober. That was the miracle that I was given. And to this day, sometimes I can't believe that I'm sober that long. Man, because of working on this program, reading this book, applying everything into my life, the meetings, everything, and you guys helped me to learn the book in a different way, where it explains a lot of things, and I need that because I don't understand what I'm reading, and with a question, I get to understand it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. So glad you're here tonight. Pickle chips.
Happy birthday, Pickles! I'm Terry, recovered alcoholics, and I loved how this chapter ties in with what Lisa read tonight about that dry drunk that was doing his own thing, going to meetings without doing the work it took, and how that turned out, because that was me. I was a dry drunk. I was going to meetings. This is for my first 3 months. I was taking notes. I was didn't have a sponsor. I figured I knew how to do this. Why I figured I knew how to do that today is totally beyond me, but I thought I could do this on my own, and they talked about that. I wasn't happy with my sobriety. I couldn't picture life without alcohol, and so I planned my relapse, and I went to the meeting to get my 90-day chip because I wanted to have that to prove to myself that I could go 90 days without drinking. I was miserable. And I knew that loneliness, such as few do, I was at the jumping off place and wished for the end. I just didn't think this program worked, and of course it didn't because I wasn't working it. I was just doing it myself, and I was taking the information home trying to get my family sober. So it wasn't working. I went to the meeting to get my 90-day chip, took my chip, said goodbye, went out for a cigarette break, and I was going to leave after that, and God spoke to me in the only way God could speak to me, and it was through a foghorn there in the harbor. And I knew immediately that that was God talking to me in my own language, as opposed to what the people at the meeting were talking to me in a language I didn't understand yet. So I went back in that meeting, sat my ass down, and I think the next day even I got a sponsor and started working the step, because that was very frightening to me to come that close to a relapse. Fortunately, I've never had to go out. And today I live a life as I never imagined. And that's why I like this chapter. I think this is my favorite chapter. Just talking about hope. And hope is so important to people that have this disease. So it was just, all this we read tonight was just dripping with hope. And I just love that. I love you all. And thanks for letting me be part of this wonderful group. Thanks.
Thank you, Jerry. Love you too. Hi, Larry.
Hey, I'm Larry. This chapter is really a much, it tells us the whole story. I think it probably talks to all of us, but to me, I could go into how it was before I got into Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm probably like each and every one of you. I was miserable. Some of you, heard a little bit about my life. My life ended up, in a dark place. Behind bars, and spent many years there. But that didn't get me sober. Even when I got out, that I still inwardly was a miserable person. But I liked the way on page 152, inwardly I would give anything. I fooled myself in thinking inwardly I'd give anything for a half a dozen drinks and make myself think that that's going to make myself happy. Only so realize it really didn't make me happy. It just, if I was lucky, it made me forget for a few minutes or a few hours. All I could see was how could I stop drinking? Because it was, the book says, am I to be consigned to a life where I shall be stupid, boring, glum, like some of the other righteous people I know? Because, that's the way I felt like people that didn't drink was. How could they be actually happy, and how could they actually have a good time? You know, so how to be sufficient? You know, did you have a substitute? And the fact was, Alcoholics Anonymous did have a substitute, and the substitute wasn't necessary. It was this book, but the substitute was the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. It was the people, the sponsors, the people that gave me the instructions. That was the substitute that I found. If I didn't find the fellowship, if I hadn't found the people that was inside of Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't think I ever would have gotten sober. If I just found this book by itself, I don't know that I ever could have gotten sober, but it was the people that taught me this book, the fellowship itself, that I have this life that I have today. And I'm so grateful for the life I have. That's all I got.
Thank you, Larry. Hi, Art. Come on in.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Art. I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. And the first part of this chapter describes my experience very well. It says that drinking means release from care, boredom, and worry. And that's what I drank for that release. And then the day came when it didn't give me the release. I couldn't get drunk enough to find release from that care, boredom, and worry. Especially the worry. And then a little later it talks about the can't imagine life without alcohol. And I got to the point where I couldn't imagine life without alcohol, but I also couldn't imagine life continuing the way it was. And so, yeah, I wished for the end. And there was a while there when I thought the only end was going to be death. And I wasn't, I didn't have, I don't know what you might call it, but I just couldn't do that to myself. But I put myself in places and in situations where it could have happened, and I didn't care. And so when it asked the question that Larry was talking about, do you have a sufficient substitute? And the answer that they give is yes, there is a substitute, but it's much more than that. It's a fellowship in Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's where I found to be the answer to the release from boredom and worry is the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. Gives me that release that I was looking for in the bottom. And this chapter will go on to show how living a life of sobriety becomes the only way that we can imagine how to live. I can't imagine going back to what I was doing and how I was living prior to Alcoholics Anonymous. There's no way. I couldn't do that again. And so I am eternally eternally grateful for the fact that I found Alcoholics Anonymous, and that I became willing, out of desperation, to try something different. And it works. And I thank all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Thank you for being here and for sharing with us tonight. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, my name is Marilyn, and I'm an alcoholic. Wow, what we read tonight was just, I just felt so overwhelmed because it's the truth. And so it was very powerful what we read tonight. That I feel so emotional because when I was out there, I'm not, for most normal folks, forget about that part, but I was looking for companionship and all colorful, different imaginations. Even me getting ready to go out to the bar, have a shower, put on your makeup, and wow. Only to bring me down to my knees. That's what King Alcohol. That's it for me. And I wanted to be released from any boredom or worrisome or anything that was bothering me. Alcohol was there to fix that for me, but it stopped working. It just got worse and worse the more I drank. I had come into Alcoholics Anonymous, and I didn't stay. I was a relapser, but I always thought, well, I can go to this bar and I'll sit down there, and a lone wolf, sit down there at the bar and have a drink and think, oh, I'm good, and everybody else around is drinking their drinks and probably, without punity. And then I found myself, I ended up drinking. Then I found myself, I don't know if you want to call high class, middle class, or low class. I was at the bottom of the bars. That's where I ended up. And yeah, and I remember how lonely I used to get. I did not know that alcohol was doing that to me, but I just felt so alone inside. It was a horrible feeling to be that way. So I was not a happy drinker near the end. It was horrible what I went through, but I am grateful that I went through that, and that's in the past now. It's in the past now. I just want to move forward, and I just always looking for something better to make me feel better, anything, whatever, and nothing worked. Nothing worked for me. There's just so much more I can say about this, but my eyes are teary, and I can't see the writing on the book because of my eyes. But it's just how can I arise out of such misery? How can I rise out of such misery? Well, thank God I had another chance, and I went back to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was able to stay sober and just take it one day at a time. And then when I was sobering up, sober was really a cool thing. Like when I was getting sober, because there was different things, right? But who would ever have thought, man, is sober ever being, man, how is it? Man, is sober ever cool? I would have never thought of it like that, right? Hadn't I given myself a chance, Alcoholics Anonymous, and asked God to help me to stay sober for the day. But I do appreciate do appreciate you people and when you share your experience, strength, and hope. So, but anyways, thank you. I'm glad I came on tonight. This was just such a powerful meeting so far. I look forward to hearing others. Thank you.
Thanks, Marilyn, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks as our traditionalist too. And we have no hands, so I am going, oh, Lisa, come on in, Seashell Pickle.
Hi everyone, I'm Lisa, I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I was just thinking, a couple people talked about this line. Means release from care, boredom, and worry. Well, for me, it also released, my license, some jobs, relationships, my sanity, my children for a certain period of time. It took a lot. And, King Alcohol. I'm very familiar with those 4 horsemen. The terror, waking up in the morning and whether anything happened or not, just, the last time, 15 months ago, I don't want to ever forget it. And I am just so grateful to start learning because, like I talked about that story with the traditions and like Terry was talking about, doing things my own way for so long. And being able to not drink for certain periods, that way of thinking kept me in such a state of denial that I was different. That I could do this. I stayed sober a year, a couple times. But I was miserable. And I've said that. I don't miss it at all, and I feel better. And I really didn't. I wasn't hungover. That was the only better. But I still had all that crap and those, even sober, I had the terror, bewilderment, frustration, despair. I was very unhappy. And I'm just grateful to be learning and being willing and just doing things different. And it's really good. I'm looking back on the last 15 months with the challenges too I faced and still facing, but it's still 1,000 times better than the drinking days or just the dry not drinking days. I always looked at, the work, I don't have to do it, or, fearful of doing it. I'm more afraid of not doing it now. It was much harder not doing it. So I'm going to keep on coming and keep on doing the work because I don't want to feel like that again. And this is my way out. And that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Lisa. And I love watching you doing all that work and all that growing that you've been doing.
Me too,
It's
me
wonderful.
too.
Hi, William. Come on in.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is William Alcoholic. I'm happy to be here tonight. Whatever this reading like this come up, it gives me a chance to reflect. And I was clueless about what was happening to me, what my behavior was like because of King Alcohol. And when I went away to a rehab, at 28 days I was there, I bought this, if you can see this, it said miracles could happen to you. miracles do happen, you know. And I bought this, and it's been with me ever since then. That was April of 1989. And definitely my reason for drinking was because of that first paragraph, you know. And in that first paragraph, they talk about the obsessions kicked in, you know. And I would cook before I even got started, man. And I felt that a couple of times. But I drink it like this, and one make me feel that good, another one make me feel better. And I liked the lifestyle, man. And as I continued to do that, alcohol began to King Alcohol got louder than the fun that I was having, you know. Definitely it was people that say things like, hey, you don't look like you're a person that do drink like that, or you're going to hurt yourself, you know. But the disease will talk to me, you'll never get no more of my alcohol, you know. So I wound up drinking home alone, isolation and stuff. And one thing in my neighborhood, and I didn't know this until I came to AA, they talk about in the hamlets in the neighborhoods and stuff in my community and stuff. I could walk 2 blocks in either direction, 3 blocks in either direction, 5 days a week, and there was a meeting there. And I didn't learn that till I came to Alcoholics Anonymous. But definitely, I have, you know, it's a great feeling whenever you go around to meetings today. I have people who was there when I got here. I have people that came behind me, and I have people who came in around the same time I did. I got sober in 1992, you know, and I went to an in-person meeting today, you know, and that unconditional love that we have for each other, you know, what we have to do in order to stay sober, you know what I mean? It didn't start out that way, but they told me to practice how I make it. You know? Just keep coming, keep doing it and stuff, you know. You want to stay sober, that's what we have to do. You know. And I began to do that, you know. And it is beyond my wildest dream. I'm happy, you know, and whatever I do, you know, I'm not perfectly happy, you know. The time I'm not, you know, I have some reference point that I could go back, you know. I do prayer and meditation, you know, and I call, continue or stay close to the newcomers when they come in. I give them my telephone number, you know, and I'll be there to assist them with anything I can do for them. You know, matter of fact, I seen a newcomer today, you know, right away, you know, I invited him to come here, you know, so he can learn about himself, you know, because a lot of times I didn't believe what people were saying, telling me about it, you know, and what it did, and what confirmed it. The same thing is in the literature. So I'm guilty. I call it guilty with all the information was talked about today, you know, and definitely recovery is part of my story, you know. And I used to say it all the time, you know. It was the pain of living that got me, you know. And I was a coward. If I wasn't a coward, I wouldn't be here today. Definitely wouldn't be here today, you know. I thought about it all the time. Yeah. And not because I didn't have a good life, but I had alcoholism, you know. I had to, always had a job, always had a few things above a job, but I just wasn't happy. And what I learned that happiness was because I didn't have that dark hole with me. It was not filled with love, it was not filled with God, you know. It was filled with something and self-centered thinking, self-centered things. And none of those things never work. I could get a new car, I could get a new pair of clothes, I could get a new relationship. Anything never was enough until I came to Alcoholics Anonymous and put a program inside of there, you know. So definitely, I'm grateful to be here, you know. All days are not peaches and cream, but I wouldn't trade my worst day in Alcoholics Anonymous to go back out there. I have a life worth living today, you know. I have a purpose in life. I have a purpose, the first purpose. Right here to stay sober and help somebody else. And then it grows. But I didn't have none of that before I came back home. I just had all that bewilderment, terror, and all that other sickness that came with alcoholism. And I never thought that it would be like it is today. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, William. Glad you're here too. Hi, Miela. Come on in.
Anna, recovered alcoholic. You know, I never saw alcohol as like something bad. You know, it was like around me growing up. It was part of like my culture. You know, conviviality, the enjoyment of festive. You know, it was never frowned upon. You know, and I was that functional alcoholic. I would drink and stop, but I couldn't stay stopped. King alcohol, you know, like when I would stop, you know, it would like, I wouldn't say it would be calling me, but you know, like I wanted to be festive with it, you know. I did have the boredom and the worry that it released. I'm a blackout drinker, so I always wanted something to relieve me quick and fast because I always wanted to get there. So when I came into this program, you know, I wanted something quick and fast, you know, and it wasn't happening when I came in here. You know, the part about, you know, the fellowship, you know, I'm grateful for those people that were in the rooms that weren't, you know, spiritually sick, you know, because I struggled just to, you know, keep coming back. You know, like my body would be there, but my mind would be like, oh, I don't know about this. The insanity of the hopelessness of willing. So the experience has gotten better. It isn't like the blackout where I get there quick and fast, especially if I don't do the work and if I don't connect with my fellow drinker, because you know, just like the delusions, I can be there quick. You know, just like that relief that I want really fast, I can be there too. So you know, but I know what I am, you know, I know that this program works. I'm going to keep coming back. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. So glad you're here. Hi, Erin.
Sorry, I lost my mouse. My mouth. Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic, and it's good to see all of you. It's been a while since I've been here.
Hey, bro,
you know, I always have to remember what it was like before. You know, I've heard a lot of shares tonight. I can relate to all of it. You know, at some point in my life, and I wasn't raised this way, but you know, in and out of rehab, in and out of jail, you know, no house, no car, no nothing, and I thought that was a normal way of living, and it was no way to live. And you know, today I have, you know, I have cars, I have a job, I have a house, I have a wife, I have kids, but I also have, you know, 2 twins in Tennessee that I have lost. I don't see them, no contact. But that's for another day. And because of this program, I can be okay with that today. You know, the time will come. You know, I like that word, king alcohol. You know, it took everything for me, and it's, you know, it's a subtle foe. Well, I guess I thought it was, but you know, it took everything. And recently, you know, everything's pretty good. Everything, the job is great. The family is great. You know, I have my little hiccups, but I called my sponsor today. It's like something's missing. And pretty much he was like, you know, your program is missing. You don't have one. And I'm glad I was able to make it tonight, because, you know, hearing all these stories, I can relate. I needed to be here. I need to keep coming back and not when I want to, because it's life or death. And I'm very grateful for you guys letting me share. So thank you.
Thanks, Erin. So glad to see you tonight. And thanks for the cupcake. And I'm gonna jump in real quick. I'm Trish and I'm an alcoholic. And you know, when I first came in, one of my many early sobriety sponsors and I were having a conversation one day. And I kept telling her, I'm shy. I can't do this. I'm shy. I'm not that. I can't do that. She's like, you're not shy. You're full of fear. And my response to her was, you're kindly full of stuff, and walked away. And that was like the end of our relationship because I didn't like her telling me that I was full of fear. Come to find out, years and years and years later, yeah, I was full of fear. So while drinking meant conviviality and companionship and release from that care and boredom and intimacy with friends, I was too afraid to let anybody get to know me, even though I was out there with them. And then that leads right to the less people tolerated me, or I thought they weren't tolerating me, but it was really me not knowing how to converse with them, I withdrew even more. So, fear, absolutely. And I became very well known with those 4 horsemen it talks about, the terror, bewilderness, frustration, and despair, because I didn't know how to live life. I knew how to escape from life, but I didn't know how to live life. And so often I was that boy whistling in the dark, telling myself that I was having a good time, when I was really just lying to myself. A serious drinker being dry. I don't miss it at all. Feel better, work better, having a better time. I told myself something along those lines all the time. But I was just lying to myself and trying to convince myself that I was happy, even though I didn't really know what happiness was. And I didn't know what that loneliness was, or I didn't realize it was until I got to that jumping off place where I had to make a decision. Come in here or keep drinking, knowing that if I kept drinking, it was going to end up to death at some point, either by my own hand or by the bottle. And while I became willing at that point, I wasn't 100% all in willing. But I did slowly start finding the release from the care and the boredom and the worry. Well, the care and the boredom. Still carried all that worry. But what AA has brought me, and that hope that Terry was talking about so earlier in the meeting, was AA has given me these lifelong friends. Many of who I've met in person, many of who I haven't, thanks to the glory of Zoom. And some who I have yet to meet in person, but I'm sure I will one day. And being bound with those wonderful ties because we escaped the disaster of drinking together. And whether we've done work together on Zoom, had phone calls, or whether we've met in person, it's still learning how to give up myself so that others can live. And it's learning the full meaning or the new meaning of love thy neighbor as thyself. Sometimes love thy neighbor more than what I want. Taking that 2 a.m. phone call from somebody who I know is drinking, but still talking with them for a little while. Not that I know that they're going to know what I'm saying, but when they go back through their phone later, they're going to know I was still there for them, drinking or not. And learning how to be available to other people. When, again, it goes back to fear. I was always afraid to take on somebody as a sponsor because I didn't know what I was doing, in my words. But some of those ladies I work with now, and I've become so close. closer than I ever expected. But it's all because of learning how to love others, learning how to be there for somebody else, and talking through how we escape that disaster together. Walking shoulder to shoulder. I can't tell them what to do, but I can tell them what I did and tell them what I might do in that situation. But learning how to be there for somebody else and here.
I can tell you right now, I'm going past the timer tonight. Good evening, family. My name's Jamie. I'm very grateful that you are here, and thank you so much for celebrating our 5th anniversary with us. You guys are primary purpose. You guys are what makes this group work. Just the beginning of this has so much to offer, and you know, that conviviality and everything, that's what took me to my bottom, because I was the one more that's it guy in the bar. One more, that's it. And then I'd stay and help the bartender close the bar and drink free beers afterwards. So, you know, one more, that's it. And that took me to my bottom. So on September 3rd, 1990, I became the man on page 152. I couldn't imagine life with or without alcohol. And my solution, even though I knew about Alcoholics Anonymous for almost 17 years, my solution was not to get sober. My solution was to die, to drink enough to drive off the mountain. That was my solution. Yet God picked up a broken shell of a human being and brought him to you guys. And I haven't had a drink or a non-conference approved substance since. And that's a miracle. Doesn't mean that there haven't been times when I suffered from untreated alcoholism because I wasn't continually staying in the program of action. And that's something that I have to do today. Just what we read tonight talks about so much. The fellowship. And I want to touch on this last part that we read, and I want to take you somewhere back in the book a little bit. We hope that when this chip of a book is launched on the world tide of alcoholism, defeated drinkers will seize upon it and follow its suggestions. Many, we are sure, will rise to their feet and march on. They will approach still other sick ones, and fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous may spring up in each city and hamlet, havens for those who must find a way out. And so I want to take you back to the 2nd edition for just a second, the foreword to the 2nd edition. On page XXVIII, and I want to read something here. And this is just after this book is published. Just after this book is published. I'm going to start here. Each inquiry was painstakingly answered. Pamphlets and books were sent out. Businessmen traveling out of existing groups were referred to these other prospective newcomers. New groups started up, and it was found, to the astonishment of everyone, that the AA message could be transmitted through the mail as well as by word of mouth. By the end of 1935, it was estimated that 800 alcoholics were on their way to recovery. I'm sorry, that was 1939. So when this book was published. In the spring of 1940, John D. Rockefeller gave a dinner for many of his friends, to which he invited AA members to tell their stories. News of this got on the world wires. Inquiries poured in again, and many people went to the bookstores to get the book, Alcoholics Anonymous. By March 1941, the membership had shot up to 2,000. Then Jack Alexander wrote a feature article in the Saturday Evening Post, placed such a compelling picture of AA before the general public that alcoholics' need for help really deluged us. By the close of 1941, AA numbered 8,000 members. The mushrooming process was in full swing. AA had become a national institution. In just a period of about 10 months, we went from 800 to 8,000. That's huge. You know, this is the 11th chapter in our big book. There are only 11 chapters in the big book. However, the 12th chapter in your big book is your own personal story. What's it going to look like? I know mine is being in the course of being written right now. So is yours, as we travel this journey together. At the end of our lives, what is our 12th chapter in our big book going to look like? Because we were members of the greatest fellowship on this planet. Because we have learned how to set aside our pride and our ego and our selfishness and self-centeredness. And we have learned to care so deeply about others and be willing to go to any lengths to help them, no matter what. There's a place in our book, I'll give you a hint, it's in chapter 5, more about alcoholism, and it says if you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any lengths to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. I've been around Alcoholics Anonymous a long time. I know a whole lot of people that are willing to go to any length to not take the steps. That they will do everything that they possibly can to avoid taking the steps. Doesn't mean that we don't have outside issues and we shouldn't seek help for those outside issues, but they will do that instead of taking the steps. But I made a decision a few years back. If you were someone who came to Alcoholics Anonymous, and it didn't matter if you were new in the program or if you were older in the program than me, if you are willing to go to any lengths to take the steps, then I'm willing to go to any lengths to help you take the steps. That is part of my chapter 12 in my big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. There are many pathways to God. We don't have a monopoly on God or sobriety, but we have what I believe to be the most successful pathway. Towards the end of this chapter, it's going to talk about you may not have the advantage of those of us who wrote this book. Well, of course not. They're all dead. However, we do meet them in the pages of this book. We meet each and every one of them. We meet each and every one of the first 100 men and women. And one of the things that I see happening in Alcoholics Anonymous today is change due to social issues and change in fellowship and change in literature, and it's so much of it is politically motivated. I'm so grateful that our founders in the first 100 had the insight to avoid all those things. Ask yourself this question. Am I a meeting maker that just goes to attend and listen and not share? That's not a criticism. Ask yourself another question. Does sharing my experience, strength, and hope with another alcoholic, will it maybe save their life today? And in turn, what has happened is it will save our lives as a result of doing that. You see, I can call myself a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I can hide out in the rooms indefinitely, and I do mean hide out. It's easy to become invisible in Alcoholics Anonymous. It's even easier to become invisible in a Zoom meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. You know why I like it when your cameras are on? Because I can see that people are paying attention. You know? Hell, I don't know. For if the camera's not on, you could be washing your unmentionables. I don't know. Okay? But what I do know is when your camera is on, you're participating in life in your own recovery. And I hear people say in Alcoholics Anonymous all the time, I'm just claiming my seat and checking in, participating in my recovery, but that's not the real participation in my recovery. The true participation in my recovery is living life to its fullest. My greatest joy in my life today, besides Doji, is when I get to talk to one of you on the phone or see one of you face to face and talk to one of you. Because I get to be God's witness of your growth. We're so busy looking for the differences in this book so that we don't have to be like them. But all I need to do is look for the similarities. Maybe alcohol wasn't my biggest problem. Maybe it was something else. Doesn't matter. Were the thoughts, actions, feelings, and behaviors the same as the alcoholic? Probably so. There's a place in our book where it talks about the spiritual life is not a theory. We have to live it. These first 11 chapters have given me the ability to live it in my life today. And I am so incredibly grateful. And I can never, ever give back to Alcoholics Anonymous what has been so freely given to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. And thank you to everyone who's been here. Those who have shared, those who have listened, those who have participated. And I love getting to know each one of you. And over the 5 years that we've been on Zoom, maybe 4.5 since I've been in the meeting, I know I have grown a whole lot. And I hope that as you continue coming and you join us, that you'll see the growth in your life. And that you'll see the growth in other people's lives too. Because that's a wonderful thing. So, Jamie, would you like to read our closing now?
I would. And folks, the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is not done until we get to the page that I'm about to read. How do I know that? Because this is where we find our 12-step prayer. Our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously, you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is a great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit. and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you till then.
Thank you, Jamie. And we will go ahead and close out in our usual pickle fashion, where we hold our hands up in the screen because we're not in the same room where we can gather around and hold hands around the table. So I'll hold our hands in the screen, and we'll take a moment of silence for those still suffering inside and outside of these rooms. And we'll follow that with the Lord's Prayer. So here's your moment. Thank you. And who brings us from shame to grace if we let him?
Our Father,
Our Father,
who art in heaven,
who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy
hallowed
name.
be thy name.
Thy kingdom
Thy
come,
kingdom come,
thy will be
thy
done,
will be done
on earth
on
as
earth
it is
as
in
it is in
heaven.
heaven.
Give us this day our daily
our
bread,
daily bread,
and forgive
and
us our
forgive us our
trespasses,
trespasses,
as we forgive
as
those who
we forgive those who
trespass against us.
against us.
And lead us
Lead
not
us
into
not into
temptation,
temptation,
but
but
deliver us from evil. For thine is the
thine is the
kingdom,
kingdom,
the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
You're coming back, April. If you're working, so work it because your birthday.
Thank you, everyone.
everybody.